Hi, friends. Ooh, I am so excited and a little bit anxious to talk about week 6 of The Artist Way because today we are discussing abundance. And I have been confronted with abundance the past couple of weeks, or the past couple of months, or the past couple of years, maybe I should say. My whole life, perhaps. Where to begin? Lost my job, was laid off in October from the marketing world that I was working in, and decided to go all in on my breathwork and astrology and tarot and art business. Eliza gets into it. And I know that it is the right move. There's like no doubt in my heart about whether or not I should return to corporate America or whether or not this is going to be successful. But the path, the path to getting there and to making money in the same way or in a more abundant way than I was from my marketing job is just like an extremely confrontational journey that I'm on right now. And I'm really grateful, of course, for Julia Cameron and for The Artist Way because she really reads me to filth in a lot of her writing. She talks about how, for many of us, we were raised to believe that money is the real source of security and that a dependence on God feels foolhardy, suicidal, and even laughable. And that's like exactly what I am working through right now is this idea that I don't need to put my trust in like a quote unquote safe corporate job, that money is not a source, it is a resource, which is something that one of my other teachers, Dr. Clara, has loves to remind me over and over again that money is not a source of happiness. It is a resource that we are able to wield and use and spend for good or for ill. And it is so ingrained in us and in our society to believe that God or the benevolent universe or source or whatever word feels good for you is actually capable of blessing us when we honor our own truth and our own like creative inspiration. And so I am certainly in a point in my life right now where I am navigating and reprogramming and like reworking my brain and my patterns and my habitual ways of operating to shift from a reliance on like what is known and what has been previously experienced to what is possible and what is available when I transform from anxiety to trust and just like go forward and believe that, oh, this is truly the right move. And I do believe it is literally just waiting for my external reality to sort of align with what is happening with me internally. And it's interesting because what Julia Cameron writes is like, we cling to our financial concerns as a way to avoid not only our art, but also our spiritual growth. And again, that's just like exactly where I am. I don't know if I ever would have left my 9 to 5 willingly unless I had like a fully operational, fully successful, fully like one-to-one transferable, thriving business. And yet I don't think that it's actually possible for me to have like generated enough energy to develop my business enough to, and while also working my 9 to 5 marketing job. And so it's like there's always going to be this, mm, I don't even know if it's an excuse. I really don't. I think it's just the way that we have been trained by society to believe that being a part of the machine is the only way to have security and to have success and to have abundance in our lives. And so I certainly don't blame myself or anyone else for operating under those ideals. And yet, it can be a crutch when we know in our hearts that we are here for a greater purpose, and yet we are unwilling to put our faith in that greater purpose. And so I totally agree that we cling to our financial concerns. It's like, well, I can't pay my rent if I quit my job and I like go full in on this creative practice. But I am trusting, trusting that I will soon be finding out otherwise. And it is stretching me spiritually. It is stretching me to have to develop these new ways of relating to God and to abundance and to what is possible for my life and for the lives of my clients. Ultimately, I do believe the whole premise of my work is like our dreams are given to us by God to go after, like with our full hearts, and that there is so much more that is available to us when we allow ourselves to step out of the confines of capitalism. And so I have to go first, you know, in my own experience, I have to be the one who, what is it, like carves the path, forges the path, who the one who experiences this so that I can have the firsthand knowledge of what it might be that some of my clients, future clients, current clients are experiencing. And it's like I'm trust muscles, building my trust muscles with God and my faith muscles and my abundance muscles so that I can be the model and be the example and get to, yeah, just like have this firsthand experience. What else does Julia say? On the one hand, we give lip service to the notion that God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. On the other, we secretly think that God wants us to be broke if we are going to be so decadent as to want to be artists. Do we have any proof at all for these ideas about God? Looking at God's creation, it is pretty clear that the Creator itself did not know when to stop. There is no one pink flower, or even 50 pink flowers, but hundreds. Snowflakes, of course, are the ultimate exercise in sheer creative glee. No two alike. The Creator looks suspiciously like someone who just might send us support for our creative ventures. Yeah, this idea that we have to be broke and that we have to be struggling and that we have to be starving in some ways in order to have like a legitimate artistic practice is just like an outdated storyline. It's really not true. I am interested in patrons. I am interested in gifts. I am interested in grants and miracles and interested in allowing myself to be indulgent with my creativity because that is what God has modeled for me. I'm looking at even like this platter of fruit in front of me, and it's like oranges and apples and pears and bananas, and it's there. It's like even with food, there are so many different varietals and flavors and tastes, and it's like God is certainly a God of more, more than enough, more than we could have even begun to, like, why would we put constraints on something that is clearly so expansive? And so that is what I'm also like working through. We have tried to be sensible as though we have any proof at all that God is sensible. That made me laugh. Rather than see if the universe might not have supported some healthy extravagance. Creativity is not and never has been sensible. Why should it be? Why should you be? Do you still think that there is some moral virtue in being martyred? If you want to make art, just make some art. Creativity is not and has never been sensible. Why should it be? Why should you be? Do you still think there's some moral virtue in being martyred? If you want to make art, just make some art. This is extravagant, but so is God, is a good attitude to take when treating your artist to small bribes and beauties. Remember, you are the cheapskate, not God. As you expect God to be more generous, God will be able to be more generous to you. What we really want to do is what we are really meant to do. When we do what we are really meant to do, money comes to us, doors open for us, we feel useful, and the work we do feels like play to us. And I just want to like sit in that energy for a minute. When we do what we really want to do, money comes to us, doors open for us. We feel useful, and the work we do feels like play to us. It is critical that we pamper ourselves for for the sense of abundance it brings to us. I love this idea as well. I just got some new eyeliner and some new mascara yesterday, and it was a gift, actually. My dad took me to the store, and it has been challenging my entire life for me to, mm, of course, there are multiple parts of ourselves at all ages and inside of us. And so there's a part of me that is like 15 and is furious that my dad, as I was growing up, didn't offer more support, if I'm being honest. And then there's this other part of me that's maybe like 17 who recognizes that when we are together as a child, he had a tendency to overextend himself financially because I think he was also feeling guilty for periods in our lives when he wouldn't send my mom any money to like help raise my brother and I. And so there's this other 17-year-old part of me who's like, he's irresponsible. We have to be the adult in this situation. We can't accept money from him because, it might be putting him in a position that we don't want him to be in. And so it's like this weird, weird situation my entire life growing up. And I think now at 33, I am finally able to, number one, trust that he has the means that he needs, and two, to understand that I don't have to be the adult in the relationship in terms of the way that he spends his money anymore, that I can believe him when he says, I want to get you something and, you know, let's go like run an errand. What do you need, etc. And to be able to receive now with openness and grace and gratitude the things that he is excited to offer me is a really nice change of pace. And I think has certainly contributed to my own distrust and reluctance with consistent gifts from God. You know, it's like I would get, my beliefs were that blessings will come, but they are perhaps inconsistent and like not to be trusted. And I can map that back directly to the way that I was raised. And now I am grateful that my parents are in a different position than they were than when we were kids. And so I can lean into trusting that they are offering what they have from a place of overflow, that I am able to receive it without worry and without anxiety and without feeling like I need to parent them about how to manage their money. And it is even this small exchange is allowing me to renegotiate the way that I accept, receive, allow the flow of God's abundance in my life. And I gotta say, the small luxury of a fresh eyeliner and a fresh mascara, I'm like, it's quite prominent on this meeting, on this YouTube, but it does lend it does like provide an access point for me to feel more luxurious, more put together, more able to embody the artist that I want to be. And so I love that Julia talks about, you know, even just like buying raspberries and like indulging in the luxury of small things in the day to day and making luxury and making understanding what helps you to feel abundant and like you have overflow because that translates into other areas of your life. And so to also understand that there are privileges, right? There are people who have loads of money and all the luxury in the world, and yet they don't feel satisfied or gratified. And so, like, having some awareness around it's the mind and the heart that gets to change first, and then the things that are outside of us get to be accessories or support tools, but that again, it's like money and things are not a source, they are a resource. And so we cannot put our happiness or our joy or our permission slip on whether or not those resources are in our lives. Hmm. At the end of the chapter, Julia has us track our spending for the 7 day period. And I think what I noticed, I mean, number one, it's been interesting being in El Paso because I did buy some groceries, but I'm not buying a ton of groceries. Like a lot of my normal expenses are not required of me at this time, which I think there's probably another like message in there that I will process in my journal, I imagine. I have been documenting not only my spending, but also the things that I have been getting for free. This eyeliner, this mascara, like that went into the log as well. And when I went back to reflect on my spending over the past 7 days, it's a lot of like necessities. It's a lot of protein shakes because I'm traveling and doing this fitness program while I'm away. And so that's weirdly probably the thing I've bought the most. But I also have been recognizing that paying attention to abundance and paying attention to how this plays out in my own life has inspired more. I don't know if it's more generosity, but it is at least an awareness of the fact that I am humbly so a relatively generous person. I invited my one of my friends to something and they couldn't afford the ticket, and so I was like, it's fine, I'll just buy it for you. I buy things for my husband. I am if I have cash in my wallet and I see somebody who needs it on the street, like it's it's theirs. And so that has been nice to recognize in myself, like even though I am not, even though I don't know exactly how my next few rent checks are going to get paid, that hasn't shrunk my heart. And I think that has been probably the most important thing that I've taken away from this tracking is that I truly do believe that the more that I give, the more I receive. And it is nice to observe myself living by the principles that I so frequently espouse. I feel very much in integrity with my values. And that, I don't know why it's making me emotional, but I guess I'm just like, oh, I'm proud of myself for doing that. I'm proud of myself because it would be so easy to be like, I don't know how I'm going to get paid, so I better hoard and I better, activate this like scarcity mindset that there's not enough to go around. And yet my work and my belief system is like, there is enough to go around. There is enough to still be generous. There is enough for everyone. And so I am not going to allow the symbol of the money that I see in the bank to impact the way that I interact and exchange with the people in my community and the people that, I feel on my heart. And I am also investing in myself. I just paid $100 and something, 60, $160, which is a little hard to say out loud, for a like nervous system reset class. And so I am also recognizing that these circumstances are temporary while I navigate this transition and that I am supported and I do have enough. And for that, I am deeply, deeply grateful. Okay, that feels like a good place to put the bow on it, zip it. Do all the YouTube things, do all the liking and the subscribing and the commenting and the ringing of the bell and the sharing of the video. I love this long form spouting of my thoughts and feelings, and I hope that it is, I trust that it is an avenue to build community and to connect with people who I might not otherwise interact with. And so I hope that you gained some inspiration, some wisdom, some peace, some maybe you're doing your own reflection and your own sort of like internal investigation around your relationship to abundance and to creativity and to flow. And if that's the case, let me know. Let me know what comes up. And I love you. I am hosting another Heart Centered Clarity, our group astrology and breathwork session, and you are all cordially invited. And if there's anything astrology, tarot, breathwork, creativity, art that you could use some feedback on, let me know. Eliza gets into it. Okay. Love you. Have a good day.